Now, tonight on The Connection, as we wrap up Muria Zimbabwe, we have a special conversation with a young Zimbabwean who's doing amazing things in the United States of America, joining the ranks of Abantu Abafana lo Sibongile Mlambo and other accomplished actors in New York and, of course, across the world. Tonight, in our segment where we profile Abantu Abasakhulayo, profiling the youth of Zimbabwe, we speak to Vongai Shava, a multi-award winning actor and the founder and the host of Zim Excellence podcast. I caught up with Vongai over the weekend and we spoke about her career in acting, especially a movie titled Patiri in the Promised Land, a movie which she stars in, which I personally believe tells a story which many young Zimbabweans who have had the opportunity of traveling abroad, studying, and of course seeking other work in different countries, not just in America, but even South Africa, have experienced. Let us head over to my conversation with Vongai.
Patiri in the Promised Land was kind of based off of the experience I was going through with immigration in the United States. And I was telling a friend about it. She had a web series and I'd been an extra in the web series, and we had lunch and she had said to me, I had this vision that I'm going to write a film for you. And then I said, oh, that's so interesting. At the same time, I tell her all the stuff that I'm going through with my visa and just like the hurdles of being a foreign artist in the United States. So as I'm explaining all of the hoops and the hurdles for that, cut to a couple of weeks later, she's like, oh, I've written the script. It's called Patiri in the Promised Land. So Patiri is about a girl who literally finds out that her visa is expiring literally tomorrow, the next day, and she has to jump through hoops to find out to stay. And it's about having a dream and I guess supposedly doing whatever it will take to stay.
It's a story that a lot of young Africans, a lot of young Zimbabweans, if we're going to be specific, can relate to. And this is not just about a case of what's happening in America, but that's Zimbabweans across the whole globe, the challenges that they face and the loopholes that they have to go through. How important was it to you to be able to tell the story?
It was important to share this idea of why we leave the places that we're from. So being the daughter of diplomats and being the daughter of immigrant parents, they work so hard for you for you to have a better life. Mm-hmm. And so it's this idea of, so luckily I'm privileged, but not many people are as privileged as I am. And knowing that also factors in that maybe you can't afford immigration fees, or maybe you've found yourself in a community, or you're in a relationship with someone and then all of a sudden it's like you have to pack up and go. You're making a name for yourself because you want a better life for yourself. And in the end, to hopefully give back and bring that back to the country, and also to take care of the people who've sacrificed so much, or to take care of the people who are still back home. People do leave Zimbabwe not wanting to leave.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it's about looking for the opportunity.
If there's one thing you seem to have highlighted, is the fact that you really want to tell Zimbabwean stories. Why do you find that so important?
Growing up going to schools with rich kids, Zimbabwe's economy hasn't always been the best. I literally went to school with a girl that when we were on one of the expeditions that I mentioned, she could go into a shop and say, this, without looking at a price tag. Mm-hmm. I went to school with people like that. My holiday was my mom saying, Gara unyore, like write an essay about what you did today. Mm-hmm. Well, that was not necessarily a bad thing. I'm then going back to school and people are like, what did you do with your summer? And I'm like, I was at home, studying. They were like, oh, I'm going to be honest. Mm-hmm. I grew up with a lot of shame with being Zimbabwean, especially when I would tell other people that I was Zimbabwean. I would get reactions that, oh, you poor thing, or like, oh, how is Zimbabwe doing? How's the economy? Or like such and such about this president or that candidate or this party or that party, Mm-hmm. So there wasn't always like a positive association with Zimbabwe. it dawned on me that, you know, I have this wish to give back the arts education that I wish that I had growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But I also never want anyone to feel the way that I felt, to feel bullied because they were different.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also do it for my 5-year-old self.
Aww.
I think about her. I think about all the joy that she has and the dreams that she has.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember that there are girls like her right now, growing up, who need representation, who need to know that it's okay to be Zimbabwe, that it's you know, it's cool to be Zimbabwe. Hence why I decided to start the podcast, Zim Excellence.
Tell us a little more about this podcast.
I'm jealous of the Nigerians because Niger no de carry last. Yvonne Orji does this Nigerian Night of Excellence, and she's literally in this group chat called Waves, so West African Voltron, a bunch of just movers and shakers within the Nigerian community doing amazing things around the world, and they just like show up for each other. And I'm like, yo, I want that for Zimbabwe. Then the pandemic hit, and I found myself getting closer to like a whole community of Zimbabwean artists based in the United States. And now that's kind of grown to about like globally, we kind of like keep in touch, which is great. And I had all this time. So I'm like, I want to do a podcast, but I don't just want it to be artists. Like I want to talk to people in sport. I want to talk to people in business. But then I also want this to be, you know, a way that I can give back.
Well, Muria Zimbabwe, that was Vongai Shava, accomplished actor who's looking for a way to give back. Unfortunately, we couldn't give you the full conversation, but it's going to be available soon on our YouTube page, on our official YouTube page, VOA Zimbabwe.